Thank you. I'm coming from Construction Industry Council. Construction Industry Council developed the first zero carbon building in Hong Kong in collaboration with the Hong Kong government. We have some missions and visions for this project. There are three aspects. One is to serve as the exhibition center to showcase the latest eco-building design and technologies to industry stakeholders. Second one is to serve as the education center. That's really targeting the general public and the younger generation in particular to raise the awareness of sustainable living. And also the behavioral changes very much needed and very important for a low-carbon city. And the third mission is to serve as the technical information center because we want to this project because this project is going to be an experimental case and it's going to be evolving and we want to do the performance evaluation after the completion of the project, and we will disseminate information to the industry stakeholders and to the public on a regular basis, and with a view to promote the application of the relevant technologies. So for that purpose, we actually have over 2,800 sensors being built in throughout this building. So that's the really mission and vision. Some of the key facts just want to briefly mention. I remember last year in a similar events organized by Civic Exchange and the German Consulate, I briefly talked about what Construction Industry Council was going to do for the zero carbon building. So actually, the building has now been completed. It's in a stage of final testing and commissioning stage. And at the same time, we're doing some soft opening to the industry stakeholders before the formal public opening. Within this building, we actually have a exhibition area. We have an office area for people actually working there. So myself is now actually based in the office. We also have a eco home. We do not have people. We cannot have people living there because of the planning restriction. But it really looks like a home. We also have a multi-purpose hall that serves as a venue for conferences, seminars, and other corporate functions. Hopefully, next year's events of this could be held in that zero carbon building. So that's the third one. The last place we have a landscape area, which is occupies about 90% of the site. That includes the first urban native woodlands in Hong Kong. So that's really the key effects of it. So it's also the first energy plus building. So we actually have surplus energy to be fed into the electricity grid. So that's actually happening now with the facilitation of CLP power. It's also the first largest scale use of biofuel made of waste cooking oil. That's being used as a fuel source for a tri-generation system, which Professor Fish also mentioned this morning. It's actually first used in Hong Kong. And it's one of the few zero carbon buildings in the world that can account for the embodied carbon of the major construction material as well as the construction process. So that's we're quite proud of it. Also earlier, Agnes Lee from Beam Society talked about the Hong Kong Beam Plus. So we're one of the very first new buildings that achieved being certified to the platinum grade of the Hong Kong Beam Plus. Again, we feel quite pleased about it. And we just won the Green Building Award, a Grand Award in Hong Kong in 2012. The few things are just other things before finishing my talk. I also would like to mention about this education program. I think the Simon is particularly keen to know about it. we actually in the process of operating a zero carbon building ambassador scheme. Now, this ambassador scheme is going to involve both professional and students. And students, the purpose of the ambassador scheme is to serve two aspects. One is to get the students in to do some tour guide, and then we give them some training. And then hopefully they could give the tour guide to his similar age or similar peers, use their language to pass the zero carbon building message. And the second one, we actually want them to pass the message to the social and to the school network. So that's, again, really to spread the message. For the professionals, we always start recruiting for the professionals. They're all on a voluntary basis because we only have a very limited resources within the building itself. Again, we really want to get as many people as possible to be involved in promoting the concept. So that's really a brief of my introduction.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Lee. Now, from Hong Kong to Berlin, in the last session, Professor Lückemeier, you talk about the school in Berlin. I've been told that one of the highlights of your project is how the students got the opportunity to interact with the people living nearby, which I think is brilliant. Can you tell us more about this? How you can use this project as a means to engage the neighborhood so that they also understand why we've got such a great school in the neighborhood, and what are the concepts behind, and whether it will help the community as a whole to move towards energy efficiency. Please.
Well, I think the first and most important thing is that the building is a school building, and the little children are going to school in this building, and they can learn from the building. They can learn what's going on, what are the conditions, and also the teachers will work with the children about this, mostly on the energy issues of the project. And I think the children will go home and will tell their parents what's going on in the school and what they learned there. And maybe this is the most important thing. On the other hand, there's a link to the neighborhood because there's a small assembly hall which is used for venues in the school building, and also the sports hall which is used by the sportlers of the different football and so on is playing. So many people can see the building because it's a public building, and the building is published, and there are a lot of information available on the school. So.
Okay, well that's great. I think now it touches upon something that we've been discussing quite frequently in Hong Kong, and that is how to make the best use of space in the city. Some of those are being classified as private space, but actually some of those are actually public space that we can make good use of. Now, of course, it's kind of diverting from our topic today, but still it is very much related. If we can open ourselves up to for more people to be engaged and bring them into, for example, the zero carbon building, to understand more about what we've been doing and what we're trying to achieve, then together with the stakeholders, I think we can achieve more in the near future. Now, I would like to invite any questions from the floor related to what we can do to engage people, what we can do to excite young people, in particular in the profession or in universities or in the neighborhood, how we can bring them together to work towards what we're trying to achieve, and that is green building, green neighborhood. Is there any questions from the floor, or do you have any experience to share? If you are involved in teaching, I remember that lots of people coming from the universities. Do you have any similar projects to go into the community and try to engage them? Anything to share? No, not really. Okay. That's not a problem, but I'm sure this is an area that we need to do more, and maybe this is another topic for next year. Now, this morning, I think we have a lot of interest from the audience about the DGNB, the German assessment system for buildings. And for the benefit of the audience, I would like to invite Mr. Oliver Burder to say a few words about the system. And now, of course, we have Agnes Ng on stage as well from Beam Society. And I think there are some similarities, obviously, about the two systems. And maybe after Oliver, I will also invite Agnes to say a few words. Please, Oliver.
Okay, first of all, good afternoon. The DGNB is the German system, also quite complex. So one of the advantages to be rather in the end of the discussion is we had excellent pre-speakers. The disadvantage is we are running out of time. So I bargained a little bit with Simon, and he said I probably have more than 5 minutes, so I try my best. I'm also doing projects in China. I'm an architect, actually. I'm in China now for more than 8 years. So there is something, or there are a lot of differences actually between the Chinese market and the German market. Also, Hong Kong, of course, is a very special place. So I have to maybe emphasize some special things between the DGNB system, the Beam system. I think it's out of question that the Beam system is an excellent system. And we heard already from Mr. Salter that actually the marketing is very important. The DGNB system started as late as 2006, so we are very young, much younger than the Beam system, but it took off like a rocket, you could say. And we are now very successful. We are in China, Brazil, Ukraine. We're having a lot of private partnerships. We started with the ministry together. The driving force must be the government. And from this moment onwards, actually, it's a large interest from the private sector. This was a question from Mr. Long, from the private sector to go on developing it. I think the government can spark it, can spark the idea, but there should be interest from industry like Schüco. The architects should play a driving role in the end. Everyone is having also an economical interest. Yeah, the developer have an interest in this. The architects open new market. So actually, this is it's teamwork, and that is actually what the DGNB is actually doing very well, I think. And this is one of the points. Mr. Kratzenberg also mentioned the transparency. That's a very important point, and most of all, also we are result-orientated, not method-orientated. That is a very important difference to most other systems, also the LEED system, that we say what the building should achieve, the benchmark, how it is achieved. It's up to the architects. And now you see, we had another architect, you see the responsibility the architects have to boost the system, to work on this, to improve themselves, to take over more responsibility, to work with the industry to reach those goals, actually, which is not easy. Excuse me. Another point I want to point out also is it depends on how deep you go. The DGNB system, since we started late, is a second generation system. That means it's quite precise. It's a German system, so of course it's precise, and sometimes it's quite a mess. And this causes another basic problem, because the key data is one of the things which we have to provide. We are very fortunate. We talked about this already. In Germany, we have a lot of databases. We know very exactly where material comes from. Our public energy network, we can very precise tell how much primary energy is used, where it comes from. So now Hong Kong should be able to do that too, but this data must be provided. Otherwise, no calculation and no precise data. You cannot calculate. You cannot evaluate it. The problem in Hong Kong is probably not as big as in mainland China. You can imagine working there. It's impossible to find out. I'm working in Hainan. It's a small island, as you know. It's impossible to find out where the energy actually comes from. What is the energy mix? Nobody can tell. So that is an important part, I think, which can be improved in Hong Kong easily. Just databases, people can grab on that. People can say, okay, you use this energy mix, or you use this source of energy, you do this transportation, means of transportation, and you will have this result. Another point is, also Mr. Kratzenberg mentioned this already, the holistic approach, many fields which are related to each other. It's not only about energy, or energy is, let's say, always behind it. In the end, we have also economic questions to solve. A good example is you can build an excellent building and it's 50 kilometers away from the working place. So people have a low energy house and they drive 50 kilometers with a car to work. So it's again not sustainable. We talked about triple glazing already. You always have to balance it off. You use a very good material on the one hand, on one side, and then it's economically maybe not as fortunate. The same like sun shading. It's a good method to protect oneself from sun, from overheating, but on the other hand, it increases the cost of maintenance. We just heard from Mrs. Ng that the beam system also evaluates very clearly 75% of the building costs are the running costs, not the building costs. In Germany, it's even 80% because we calculate also the disassembling of the building. So you have to take this all into account and find a balance system which is for Hong Kong surely different than, for example, from Germany or from mainland China. This is another very important point. So we can only give some ideas, some sparks, but the Hong Kong system must be, let's say, unique. I don't want to take some business from DGNB now. Of course, we are also adapting to the system too. So we are very active in international places, also in China, which is, like I said, difficult because we lack the data, the codes are different. Of course, the system has to adapt. So this is what Hong Kong has to achieve, basically. And this is basically work of the experts here, I think, to be the pioneers. One last sentence. Another discussion I want to also spark is, one is the maintenance of a building and the cleaning is like I said, a major cost factor, but also something like control, audit. This is something what the DGNB is organizing very well, and also providing the data again and re-evaluate the system, and this should be again transparent for the public. So I would be very happy if the BEAM and the DGNB could cooperate closer. I think there are, like we heard, 10,000 buildings in Hong Kong, 20 million buildings in Germany. There's enough business for everyone. In the end, the aim, the goal we have is the same. We want to live in a very livable, human-friendly, comfortable environment.
Thank you, Oliver. Agnes, do you want to respond, or do you want to add something?
First of all, I need to thank you the compliment side of our BEAM system, and also the comments given, such as the lack of data and the lack of data and information, or the market size. First of all, one thing is that we have been established for long years, but our recognitions in Hong Kong actually is in a very steep slope in the last few years, only 2 or 3 years. The reason is, although a lot of work's been done, I've already said that there's 100 buildings in 10 years and 200 projects in 5 years and so on. There's some support from the general public. As I said, our society is a very private initiated. But however, with the governments, we call it actually not a mandatory, but it's you can say it's a favorism policy to ask those people, they supposed to have 10% or more than 10% of their green building incentive already. In that case, they now, 3 years ago, they need to make some certifications before they do that. So that we must make use of this opportunity to collect the data informations. But one thing I need to mention is about in Hong Kong, government have issued carbon audit, energy audit for a number of years already. A lot of funds have been there given to the government department to conduct this. But the response is not really good because there's no incentive for the people to put the data in. And when the data is so transparent, they will find that it seems to be some market intelligence. Because we are a very small community, although we are very dense. But actually, we are very small communities. Therefore, this do not really help the people to release their informations. But actually, we find a way, and it's undergoing together with Hong Kong GBC, is to enter the data without your data known to others except yourself. Therefore, people will be free to enter the data to know where you are. And only with that, the people will understand their market drive. But although it's to be implemented, it is already a consulting studies undertaken by Hong Kong GBC together with, it is for the BEAM Plus certifications. Therefore, we are going to see some very positive effect. But one thing is, among the properties listed major listed developer in Hong Kong, I have a joke with one of the board of directors. He told me that previously nobody would talk about green in their boardroom. They just talk about how to develop West Market and how to achieve the final products in a good way that they can be sold easily and so on. But now green is their topics. And some of them are actually setting up very specialized sectors to investigate what can be done. They included procurement of green products and the actual performance of the green buildings. And 70% operation cost is quite known now to many people who are now not built to sell. Nowadays, most of the developers are built to maintain them and then rental and keep the properties. Therefore, this change of investment patterns also help the people, help the developers to know more and put more effort and energy into the operation cost in the long run. Therefore, all these side issues have been very helpful to the green building proposition in Hong Kong. Therefore, the BEAM must make use of this opportunity to steer their way, to make sure what we're given a good credit eventually did help the overall environmental impact. I think that is the whole major concept behind the BEAM.
Okay, thank you, Agnes. Is there any questions from the floor about the two systems? So you're happy about everything? Okay. Okay, now let's move on to the next theme. We talk a lot about, how to involve the construction industry, the built environment community, including the architects, designers. But one key component would be, the users, the tenant, landlords, how to get them motivated and involved in that process. Now, today we are very lucky to have Mr. Paul Rohde from New York City. He's very well known about his work on the retrofitting of the Empire State Building in New York. Now, on this topic, I'd like Paul to say a few words about how he dealt with the tenants, the landlord, and all the other stakeholders in that 1 year process, right? And of course, I would also like to invite Mr. Strauss to say a few words about your experience in China, because you have been dealing with a lot of clients. They may have different views, so you must have a lot of experience how to make sure that they are on board as well, to work together with you. And Liam, you talk about the difficulties. Not difficulty, but tenants and landlords, sometimes they are opportunities, but sometimes they are barriers. So maybe you can also say a few words about what you think, how we can motivate them. So please, Paul.
Sure, I'll start. Yes, I'll start now. And what I'm saying is in the context of the Empire State Building retrofit, but applies to about 100 buildings I've done over the last 10 years in Manhattan. And when I say buildings I work in the existing building market. And my primary focus is to help the building owners make their buildings operate more efficiently, right, for a payback. and that involves changes to the buildings and changes to the architecture sometimes to affect changes in utility rates. So involving the landlords, they're my client, okay, and so the trick is to provide lots of education and help the client understand if what he's asking me to do in the first place will get the results he thinks he'll get, all right? And to achieve that, we provide lots of services to all the different groups in the city so that they understand what is possible. We help make sure that all the projects are successful. And when we do the projects, it's really important to have constant communication with all parties at the same time. So I tend to work in the context of teams, and I ask that the landlord have a designated trusted person on my team, along with the other sub-consultants that may be hired to do the project, and then we work as a group towards our goals. Now, engaging the tenants and the users of the building is probably the hardest thing to do.